Good morning, everybody. Just want to acknowledge John Atwood and that beautiful voluntary that he played this morning. Thank you, John, for preparing that. We're all doing jazz hands up here in your praise, silent praise. My name is Michael Zsoldos, and it's Sunday, October 5th, and I'm your service coordinator this morning, unbelievably. I'm also your choir director, and I'm going to teach you all a song in just in a little while. But before I do that, I just want to welcome you all to North Chapel, and just say that our minister, Dr. Reverend Leon Dunkley, will be giving the reflection today. And there are lots of announcements in your order of service. There's an organ recital today. John, do you mind if I tell them all about this? Yeah. Can I tell them? I'm going to tell them. There's an organ recital today, and it's free, and it's celebrating the 150th year of our organ here. This was an organ that was built by Eugene Thayer. And the recitalist is Abraham David Ross. He's a young organ player, and he will be here playing pieces that would have been composed specifically for this instrument. So if you want to hear this instrument in a way that you've never heard it played before, I encourage you to come back here at 4 o'clock and have your spirit lifted by Abraham David Ross's playing. I know that Mary Blanton has an announcement.
My announcement won't lift your spirits in the same way, but we have lots of items in the Lost and Found. There were 38 that I put on a list that Joanne sent out. I think one of them has been taken. They are on a desk, the desk down in the entryway to the social hall. And if they are not taken, Listen will benefit. So I'm hoping to take them to Listen on Tuesday or Wednesday. They're water bottles, they're clothes, kids' clothes, adult clothes, hats. So take a look as you go into coffee hour and claim what is yours. Some of them are quite nice. So, in fact, one of them, a white coat, even has a Subaru key fob in it. So I don't know how somebody left without that. And secondly, I'm going to be selling, it's America, yeah, America. They drove home, right. I will be taking orders for the wreath sale after church, probably down in the social hall. Maybe I'll stand by the Lost and Found.
Good morning, everyone. I have two brief announcements. One is that there is a history bus trip coming up in November. So our colleagues are at our sister churches in Heartland and in Norwich, and now also in Montpelier, have organized a bus that will be leaving from the Upper Valley and going to Boston in the morning of November the 8th. It's a Saturday, and we're going to tour a bunch of interesting Unitarian Universalist history sites and have lunch at the church in Concord, and then swing back on the same day and have a crazy, fun, dork out UU day. It's actually way funner than UU history. Is pretty funny and pretty fun. And then, we already did the organ announcement. So I hope that if you're interested in being part of the bus trip, then there's information in the newsletter, and it'll cost $20 to register, and then the lunch and everything else is free. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Pluto, and Lebanon High School is doing a fall musical production of a musical called Water for Elephants, and I'm in it. And we're doing a fundraiser where every cast member has to ask 25 individual people for $1 each. So if anybody has quite literally like $1 in cash to spare, that would be great. And the money goes to like the production. We have it's about a circus, so we have like a bunch of like aerial stuff, and like it's gonna be really cool. The show is on December 5th, 6th, and 7th. I think it's free, but I'll give like more information soon. You guys should come see it. Thank you.
just a reminder to turn off your cell phones or silence them so that they don't go off during the service. And if you're visiting today, we have a guest book at the back of the church, which we'd love you to sign. And we will have coffee hour downstairs and time for fellowship together. Today, for the opening words leading us into a time of meditation, I've been really enjoying working with this growing group of singers. And I encourage any of you who like to sing to consider coming to choir at 4:30 on Wednesdays. We rehearse from 4:30 to 6, and then if you can't make Wednesday, we rehearse at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. I just taught them a song by ear this morning. I enjoy teaching them songs from my history as the instrumental, I was the instrumental arranger for the Dartmouth Gospel Choir for 19 years. And one of the songs we sang is She's Done Marvelous Things, or He's Done Marvelous Things. And I want to teach it to you this morning. It's a fairly simple song, and I'm going to bring this over to the piano. Tenors, I need you to teach all the tenors how this goes. All right. So. So you sing. She's done marvelous things. She's done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. So it goes. She's done marvelous things. She's done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Again. She's done marvelous things. She's done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Good. All right. Now, if you're fine on that part, you can hang out on that part. The altos will come in and they'll sing 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Marvelous, 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 marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Just listen. Marvelous, 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 marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Very good. And then the sopranos will come in. She has done Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. She has done marvelous. She has done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Any sopranos? She has done marvelous. She has done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Very good. Let's put it all together. It's like a layer cake or a pizza. All right. All right. So tenors first. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. She's done marvelous things. She's done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. A little louder. She's done marvelous things. She's done marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous things. Marvelous things. Praise the Lord. Marvelous, 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 marvelous things.
Tishrei, 12 Tishrei, Mary. I'll get back to that. The pond in New North Country is misty orange at the sunrise, and children dip their feet soles first for good continued health. They sat today for hours until the night air grew much warmer and a flight of geese returned with their great sonic sense of wealth. Have you ever heard the call of wild geese in the morning, reminding us of something, remembering something for us? The call of wild geese is coarse and rich and reedy. It is the oboe of the feather and beak community. They squawk, so bold and so outrageous. What a beautiful way to start the day. Good morning and good Sunday. I hope that this new day finds you well. Today is Sunday, October the 5th, and the title of this morning's reflection is Sunrise on the Morning of Yom Kippur. Before I start, I wanted to say that when we had an event remembering Gaza last weekend, and the event closed with the singing of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And everyone who was here got up from the center of the sanctuary and lined the outer walls of the sanctuary, and we sang in a circle. But it was as if the people who are pictured on the walls were singing with us. So it's good to see them here with us. And it's good to imagine a consistency, a fluidity between the spiritual experience of these people who are now beyond us and the best expressions of Judaism. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year in Judaism. It is known as the Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year for the Jewish people. It takes place on the 10th day of the Jewish month of Tishrei. There are 12 months in the Jewish calendar. I don't speak Hebrew, but I will do my best. Please correct me if I misspeak. The months are Tishrei, which spans a portion of September and October. Keshvan, which spans a portion of October and November. Kislev, which spans a portion of November and December. Tevet, which spans portions of December and January. Shvat, which spans portions of January and February. Adar, which spans portions of February and March. Nisan, which spans portions of March and April. Iyar, which spans portions of April and May. Sivan, which spans portions of May and June. So my May 23rd birthday is in the month of Sivan, 7 Sivan. Whereas Mary's birthday, which was yesterday, is 12 Tishrei on the Jewish calendar. The last 3 months are Tammuz, which spans a portion of June and July, Av, which spans a portion of July and August, and Elul, which spans a portion of August and September. Yom Kippur takes place on the 10th day on the month of Tishrei. 10 Tishrei. Jewish people believe that on this day Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments taught Israelites about forgiveness and about the best way to live. Yom Kippur is also known as a Day of Atonement. The practice of Judaism is dear to me. In fact, most of my beloved teachers in Unitarian Universalists have been Jewish or associated with Jewish people. Liz Dean in Lincroft, New Jersey, her husband was Harold, who was my childhood minister. And my mentor in St. Paul, Minnesota was Rob Eller Isaacs. He's also one of the 2 ministers who ordained me. These folks are among the people who encouraged me to explore the deepest possibilities of forgiveness in faith, even in a deeply broken world. So how do we find forgiveness? How do we call for deepest peace in times like these? I'd like to begin with a story. So Nathan and Miranda were married in the summer of 2017. Their families gathered in Cambridge, Massachusetts for the ceremony. I was performing the ceremony together with a colleague of mine from Yale University named Rabbi James. Their two families gathered in Cambridge for the purpose of becoming one family through this sacred ritual that was their wedding. Two families, one Unitarian Universalist and one Jewish. So Rabbi James and I did the ceremony together, and in it a little miracle happened. It happened right before us, and I'd like to imagine that I know why, but I don't know, but I'm guessing. Rabbi James and I wanted to deliver a wedding ceremony that was meaningful. We wanted to deliver something that was beautiful. The best ideas that I could offer were miles deep in Unitarian Universalism, because I knew Nathan and his family from the church in which he grew up. And the best ideas that Rabbi James could come up with were miles deep in Judaism, because he knew Miranda, where she and her family went to synagogue, where she was raised. So we kept bumping up against our baseline assumptions about the world. Not in conflict ever, but not quite yet in consensus. So we struggled to find ways to convey to both families the embrace of the Spirit and the paths of the soul that led them to one another in a way that everyone would find familiar. So we reveled in the challenge because it was fun for us, but also because Nathan and Miranda enjoyed how anxious we were and how passionately we were working. They were invested. I'm sure that they could have relieved some of our suffering, but it's not in their nature to do that. Rabbi James and I would not have listened anyway. Our joy led us to where we needed to be. Poetry was helpful. Music forged a brand new pathway through the wilderness. Love guided us. Their love guided us, their love. So we came up with a plan. James took off his talit that he was wearing. Do you know what a talit is? The talit is the sacred Jewish cloth that goes around the neck. He removed it from his shoulders where it had been stationed. Rabbi James took off his talit just as I was taking off my stole, the one that I was wearing, removing it from my shoulders where it had been stationed. And we did all of this wordlessly, although it felt like conversation. Rabbi James was holding his talit and I was holding my stole, and we sat before one another, looking into one another's eyes. It really wasn't, but it felt like some kind of weird first date. I was excited and I was nervous, and I could see that Rabbi James was feeling the same things that I was. I reached out to him, wholeheartedly extending both of my arms, opening my hands, and not letting go of my stole, the very symbol of my faith. And Rabbi James reached out to me, wholeheartedly extending his arms, opening his hands, and not letting go of the talit, the very symbol of his faith. And we held each other's hands, and we held the sacred symbols, and we knew just what to do. It was a beautiful ceremony, and we rehearsed this moment in Cambridge during the wedding as part of the rite, as part of the ritual. We positioned Nathan and Miranda before us, with their backs to us and facing their families and friends. We stood behind them, out of sight. We turned to face one another just as we had before. We smiled at each other, and then we held hands just as we had before, each of us holding more than just one another's hands. And then Rabbi James removed his talit at the same time that I removed my stole, and gently, but most intentionally, we intertwined these symbols of our faith. We wove them together. We held them high above our heads, and then we set them down gently over the easy shoulders of Nathan and Miranda, who were sitting right in front of us. And the same thing that just happened here happened there. There was a gentle breath and a quick inhalation, a taking of breath for having witnessed and having recognized that which substands or stands beneath what we have come to know as our different and separate traditions of faith. That gentle breath, that quick inhalation, that taking a breath, that witness, that recognition, and the healing that it made possible was the miracle. It seemed like we all felt it, as if the temperature had changed in the room, and it was much larger and much smaller than all of us put together. It was as if a wind had blown, like a sudden rush of fresh air that had returned to us an ancient memory. The poet writes, "Soon the lines of Christian soldiers will see the world that Jesus made whole and bolder, and the Abrahamic daughters will remember single-souled." Have you ever heard of the Abrahamic daughters? The daughters of Abraham, this idea. As you may know, Abraham had two children, two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac was born of his wife, whose name was Sarai, or Sarah, as his name anglicized in the traditions over the centuries, and Ishmael, who at the urging of Sarah, and in order to fulfill a covenant, a sacred promise, to sire offspring, Ishmael was born of Abraham and Hagar, who was the servant of the family, and from Egypt. Through his son Isaac, born of Sarah, Abraham came to be known as the patriarch of the Israelites, and through his son Ishmael, born of Hagar at the request of his wife, Abraham came to be known as the patriarch of the Ishmaelites. Of course, this is ancient theological history and it's thousands of years old, but what is fascinating is how vibrantly it lives with us today. In an episode of The West Wing that was aired immediately after September 11th in 2001, the First Lady Abigail Bartlett shared this ancient story with a group of students who had visited the White House at the time, and she explained, God said to Abraham, "Look toward the heavens and number the stars, and so shall your descendants be." But Abraham's wife, Sarah, wasn't getting any younger, and God wasn't coming through on his promise. So Sarah, getting older, was getting nervous because she did not yet have any children. So she went to Abraham and she sent him to the bed of her maid, her servant, her slave, whose name was Hagar. And Abraham and Hagar had Ishmael. Not long after this, a year later, God kept his promise with Sarah, and Abraham and Sarah had Isaac. But then Sarah said to Abraham, "Cast out the slave woman and her son, for no son of a slave woman will be heir with my son, Isaac." And though it brought him great sorrow, Abraham did cast out Hagar and their son, Ishmael. And as if by fateful consequence, two more simplified and narrower traditions have emerged from what had been a complex whole. Sarah was jealous and banished her own stepson and his birth mother. Abraham complied. He did what he was told to do, and he followed the will of his wife and the words of heavenly coaching that he had received, the coaching that assured him that the slave servant and their son would both be safe in exile. We receive this story by way of a civilizational adoption, which means that it comes to us as like an inheritance in the West. We know in the West we identify strongly with Isaac, not with his half-brother, who we see and perceive as an outcast. In fact, when Herman Melville wanted to suggest this feeling of otherness, this feeling of exile, of perspective of an outsider looking in Moby Dick, which was his most famous novel of 1851, he did so accordingly. Does anyone remember how? Call me Ishmael. Some years ago, never mind how long precisely, having little or no money in my purse and nothing particular of interest to me on shore, I thought it would be nice to sail about and see the watery part of the world. Whenever it is damp and drizzly and a drizzly November in my soul, then I account it high time to get to the sea as soon as I can. It's beautiful writing. Incidentally, Herman Melville was a Unitarian. And in keeping with his tradition, his reading of the Bible would have been a very liberal reading of the Bible, not a literal or a fundamentalist reading of the Bible. It's so peculiar these days. When we talk about universalism, Unitarian Universalism, as a liberal faith, we tend to interpret the word liberal politically. When it is said that Unitarian Universalism is a free and liberal faith, it doesn't mean that it is free in the sense that it is without cost, so that we don't have to pay for anything. That's not true, right? And it doesn't mean that it's liberal in the sense that it is politically leftist. We do not all vote as a bloc on election day. The first principle of Unitarian Universalism reads as follows: we, the member congregations of Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Sometimes we of liberal faith behave as if we have covenanted to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every registered Democrat. That's not always a popular thing to say, and I love you all deeply, but I am bound to say the truth. Now, I get cheeky with this issue, largely because it's being scandalously exploited to our disadvantage at the moment. I get cheeky, but thankfully, my colleague, Reverend Anya Samler-Michael, does not. Reverend Anya was asked to write the introduction for a play called Beyond the Partisan Divide: The Unheard Voices of Unitarian Universalist Conservatives. And she began by quoting in full the Litany of Restoration by a woman named Marjorie Bowens-Wheatley. Marjorie Bowens-Wheatley was one of the first great African-American women in the Unitarian Universalist tradition. Her words are in the hymnal. If you care to look at it, it's reading number 576. If you'd like to follow along, her words are powerful, beautiful, and elegant. I find them lovely to read and lovely to hear simultaneously. Marjorie Bowens-Wheatley writes, "If we recognize the interdependence of all life, we strive to build a community. The strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, it will not matter. If you are female and I am male, it will not matter. If you are older and I am younger, it will not matter. If you are progressive and I am conservative, it will not matter. If you are straight and I am gay, it will not matter. If you are Christian and I am Jewish, it will not matter. If we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move towards restoration." After quoting Marjorie Bowens-Wheatley in full, Reverend Anya introduces the play as follows. She says, "Bowens-Wheatley's prized litany calls Unitarian Universalists to restore full humanity. Its fourth verse probes what Wheatley described as, if you are progressive and I am conservative, it will not matter. Sadly, it does matter. Indeed, the worship materials that were available after the tragedy of September 11th on the Unitarian Universalist Association website, the litany was reprinted with an obvious omission of the fourth verse. When we were in need of it the most, apparently the human family breaks at the border of political ideology. Too often, we sacrifice the opportunity to go deeper with UUs of different political perspectives. So let's answer the question that I raised earlier. Who are the Abrahamic daughters? They are the three related faiths of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Unitarian Universalism is deeply rooted in all of them. there's a whole story there, but I'm not going to tell it. It is because of this deep root that I feel called to speak this morning. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. It is the holiest day of the year. It is a day of reparation and reconciliation. It is a day of right relationship with one's inner self and the outer world, which is hard to do in general and harder still in times of sorrow. Times of sorrow may yet provide a catalyst, though. So perhaps one answer to this question comes from the same moment in history that Reverend Anya was describing earlier, September 11th of 2001. Perhaps one answer to this question comes from a Jersey girl, a Jewish woman who is perhaps my dearest ever friend, Dana Kurtz. She's been with us before. She is my closest musical companion, and she writes, "It's the Day of Atonement 2001, and I'm sorry for everything I've ever done. I'm sorry for everything we have left to do, and I'm sorry that we're still so confused. I never had faith, so I'll never be safe. We never were safe anyway. It's just that the veil was ripped from our face on such a beautiful day. Muhammad is pacing when he isn't kneeling. Jesus can't talk because he's too busy weeping. Yahweh is a mother who sighs at the ceiling. If only they knew how good it could have been. Yeah, it's the Day of Atonement 2004. Would Jesus be happy we evened the score? You hypocrites and bullies who profit from war, may your gods all spit on your graves. I say, all of you gods, tell your squabbling children, whatever their color or call, you can all go to hell if there is such a place. Go to hell. Have it out. Have a ball." The poet is fighting mad because we waste a precious thing and another way is possible. We are holding something precious and sacred in our hands, even if we don't know it. Even if we've not grown wise enough to know it yet. I believe we're on the road. If we learn to do more than rage, we will get there. Right now, we scare and we anger so easily. We darken down to violence faster than we open to the light, faster than we turn to face the sunrise on the morning of Yom Kippur, faster than we forgive. We succeed in closing our minds and hardening our hearts and our borders, and we fail to think more deeply about what peace needs of us right now. It's easy to fight with each other. It's easy to argue and to debate. It's hard to take down our fences, our defenses, and soften the edges of our faith. It's hard to unbanish ourselves and to remember ourselves and to see ourselves in one another again. Even now, and only now, we are holding something sacred in our hands. In the same way that Rabbi James and I were holding something sacred in our hands at the wedding in Cambridge. We hold a sacred thing in our hands. Now the question before us is, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with what is sacred and in our hands? When was the last time you held something sacred in your hands? When was the first time you held something sacred in your hands? I believe that we always are, if all we are holding is the moment that we are living right now. I would like to close this morning in gratitude for something that I am slowly learning from Rabbi Dov Taylor. I was scrolling through Facebook recently, last week. It's a vice, I admit it. I was viewing a series of reels and videos, wasting time, really, when I came across a prop post entitled, "Can You Be a Christian and a Nationalist?" Charlie Kirk was arguing with college kids on campus, and he got into it with a young black aerospace engineering student named Nick. Triggered by the looming idea of Christian nationalism, Nick asked Charlie to justify himself. Where in the scriptures is a Christian directed to be a nationalist? Charlie offered many citations from Daniel, Esther, and Mordecai, Nehemiah, Joseph, Jacob, Aaron, Moses, and most importantly, Jeremiah. He paraphrases Jeremiah 29:7 as, demand the welfare of your nation that you are in, because your welfare is tied to the welfare of your nation. He paraphrases. The translation in the King James Bible is, seek peace, seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be, carried away as captives, and pray to the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof ye shall find peace. King James says city, not nation. King James says seek peace and have peace. And yet Nick and Charlie weren't listening. They were engaged with one another combatively, each one trying to win. It was more like a theological smackdown than it was like a solemn prayer. It was entertaining, I guess, but at too great an expense, I think, because it wasn't really sacred. Nick and Charlie are sacred, but how they were talking to one another was not. So I checked out what they were saying, and I read through 58 translations of this passage that I found easily online. And in these 58 examples, the word city appears a total of 71 times. In 58 examples, the word appears 71 times. In fact, only 3 of the 58 translations does not use the word city, each time substituting the proper name Babylon, which is a city, not a nation. The word nation appears in none of the 58 translations that I found online. One might have better luck with Daniel and Esther and Mordecai, or Nehemiah or Joseph or Jacob or Aaron or Moses. But the thing to remember is that the words were written by a people in exile. Those sacred words in the Bible were written by a people who were in exile. They were written by a band on the run, and not by the strongest military power in the history of the world, which is what Charlie Kirk has been trained as an ardent defender. What Rabbi Dove taught me was this: when we argue about the sacred like lawyers, everybody loses. Because yin and yang cannot meaningfully take one another to court so that a judge might rule on them to find out which one of them is right. Justice is never only a portion of the truth, never just one translation. Rabbi James and I had chosen to weave the sacred symbols of our faiths, his talit and my stole. We gently wove them together and placed them over the shoulders of Nathan and Miriam at their wedding. When Rabbi Dove spoke last week about Gaza, he did no such weaving. With the strength of his faith, he simply explained that when one understands how to recognize and remember that which is holy in all of us, its sacred symbols reveal themselves as already intertwined. Single-souled, indivisible. Last week when we sang, Lift Every Voice and Sing, it was as if these folks were singing with us in that circle. It was as if the hostages who've been taken were singing in that circle. It was as if the more than 1,000 who died in the original attack on October 7th were singing with us in the circle. As we move forward, let's take all of us together into peace. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Would you please join us for the singing of our final hymn, which I've forgotten the title of. What is it, 128? Sorry? For All That Is Our Life. Exactly. So our closing hymn, For All That Is Our Life. And if you can, invest in that, in these words, the ideas that we're considering right now. For all that is our life. Imagine actually one life. It'll probably say lives in the hymnal, but if we can imagine ourselves as one body. For all that is our life, all of us. indivisible, single-souled. Would you rise and in body and spirit, as you're willing and able, and join in the singing of our closing hymn?